Mountain bike fanatics, I'm David Davidson, and this is what happens when you ignore your body. In today's video, you'll get the complete framework that hundreds of riders are using right now in Mountain Bike Academy to shred with confidence, do big jumps without having to worry about fear. They're out there shredding, they're cornering, and I'm going to share with you exactly what they're using in order to do this in today's video. For those of you that don't know me, I'm David Davidson, again, founder, Mountain Bike Academy. I'm making this video because this is the fastest, easiest, simplest way to shred with confidence, bar none, that you will find out there. Here's what you've been told. You've been told to ride your bike more, practice, 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 technique, technique, technique. And it's not entirely wrong. You do need practice and technique, but the reason why you've been missing out on all this is because technique is built on top of your neuromuscular function, and it's also built on top of muscle activation. Now, instead, this is what you can feel if you're out on the trail. You can feel a sense of lightness, of ease. You can feel like you just get to be an observer, a pilot of the bike. Hey, let's go over there. And you send your bike over some rocks and roots, and your bike just floats. So really, it's just like getting to play and be in a flow state. What you're told to do is get a nice bike and practice. Now, it completely neglects the 4 different stages of practice that you need to be doing, and I'm going to share those with you right now. The 4 stages of practice that are so critically important for you to achieve any kind of competence on the mountain bike starts with number 1. Number 1 is activation. Number 1 is activation. Now, what is activation? Activation is literally the connection between the brain and the muscle. So when the brain thinks flex muscle, it sends a signal, as we all know, through the neurons, down into the muscle, and that adenosine triphosphate goes pow, and we flex. So you have to do this in order to ride a bike. You have to stand up on the bike, you have to maneuver the bike. We have a lot of muscle activation going on, and we don't even really think about activation. Now, why is this so important? Muscle activation is important because when you expose your body to an environment, your body adapts to the environment. When you expose your body to an environment, your body adapts to the environment and optimizes for that environment. I'm talking to you if you are 35, 45, 55, 60, and you have sat at a desk, or you have had injuries, or you do the same repetitive motions every single day, then you hop on the bike and wonder why it doesn't feel the same anymore. It's because your body is adapted to your job, not your mountain biking skill. If you were a professional athlete, which is why I'm not taking any shots at any other channels out there, it's great that professional athletes are teaching us. They do a good job. I like their channels too. But the truth of the matter is that most of them literally just ride their bike all day long, and they have no idea what it's like to have to build your body from a non-athlete into a professional athlete because they've been a professional athlete their entire lives. So it's no surprise that maybe some of them, they really shouldn't be aware of this, frankly, because they're not regular people. So here's what's so important about muscle activation is you need to rebuild your environment to introduce your body to specific muscle activations. And the single most important thing you can do for this is to have a daily movement routine. Now listen to me, if you are looking for better performance on the bike, you need to move better off the bike. And the very simplest thing you can do is move through your entire range of motion and show your body what it's like to be in different places in space. I'll say that again. The single most important thing you can do as a mountain biker, if you're busy, if you don't have time, if you don't have a gym, you literally can do this with zero equipment, a human body. This is so simple, you don't need to go anywhere. You can do this right now in your underwear. Let's go. So move through your entire range of motion with all of your joints and do it intentionally and slowly day after day. And this will reintroduce what's called proprioception into your body. Proprioception is the ability for your body to know where it is in space at all times. The more you do this, the more reference points your mind and your body have to tell your body, okay, this is what we're doing and we're doing it right. This will acclimate you to being able to move like just a good human. Does that make sense so far? If you're following along on this, this is exactly what riders like Jason have used. It's what riders like Lee have used, that they're just doing awesome stuff on the bike. And these guys are not spring chickens. No offense, guys. We love you. But these guys are not 22-year-old mega athletes. These are regular folks with jobs and families, and they are crushing it on the bike because this is what they've committed to for more than a year. I've personally worked with Lee and Jason for well over a year. So what you need to do is you need to start paying attention to this movement, especially if you have a full-time job, especially if you have something that's important to you on a mountain bike. You can do this with simple daily movement. Now that pretty much wraps up activation. The second part here is the neuromuscular side. Neuromuscular is what our brain remembers from those activations. So in other words, if you perform a movement pattern 10, 20, 30 times on the bike, your body will remember it. And if you don't have a movement pattern that's proper for things like a hip hinge, for things like a scapula protraction or retraction, if you have an improper movement pattern for something like even like standing still on the bike and standing up tall or getting down low, if your movement patterns use the wrong muscles, you can copy the instructor. This is bad, by the way. You can copy the instructor that you see on YouTube or at the clinic, and you can do it with the wrong muscles, nullifying the correct body position. Let me repeat that. Neuromuscular, this part of the process is extremely important because if you're a mountain biker and you want to do jumps and drops and all the cool stuff out there, you need to have good muscle patterns. Okay? These are foundational to your technical skills on the bike. Does that make sense? This is different from just going out and doing drills. Again, I'll say it a third time. If you do not do the neuromuscular process the correct way by just jumping on the bike and squeezing the wrong muscles and forcing your body through it, here's how it feels. You will feel like you're fighting the bike. You will feel like the bike is riding stiff under you. You will feel like you need to grab the brake. You will feel fear. You will feel like you cannot progress. It is frustrating. Ultimately, it makes it harder to do very simple things like pedal for a long period of time or go over rocks and roots and not feel like you're getting completely clobbered by the trail. So what you need to do instead is, again, when we're working on these functional movement patterns, we need to add some complexity to those daily movements, okay? Now, the complexity, this can be done in even as little as 10 minutes a day if you do this 2 to 3 times a week, okay? Now, the neuromuscular section here is just giving our body more movements to refer to that are proper. So the main one that we need to focus on for mountain biking is the hip hinge. The hip hinge is extremely important. If you don't do the hip hinge correctly, then you're just basically creating a chain reaction. I don't have time to get into it on this particular YouTube video, but this is something that we do in some of our paid courses. I mean, look, if you have one thing wrong here out of the entire core in the hip hinge, then everything else cascades over because the shoulder will need to do the job of the back. The back will need to do the job of the hips. The hips is going to need to do the job of everything else, and it's just a disaster. So what you can do instead is work on things like a horse stance hold. You can work things like a horse stance squat, a kinetic squat. You can do single leg good mornings. All of these moves are complex. In other words, they allow us to do athletic things without necessarily being exposed to risk or danger. So these kind of different moves will allow us to build the neuromuscular function. Now on to number 3. Number 3 is functional. So what is the functional side? This is where we move our body without thinking about it. Okay, so if you are a functionally adept human, that means that you are able to hop on the bike and just go, cool, I could move this way and that way. And when we're functional and we don't have to think about it, it allows us to rely on our instinct, not on just telling our body what to do. This is where most riders start, and this is why most riders fail. Most riders start trying to make it, like you try to make it feel good on the bike by thinking about your body position and telling your body to do this and that. And it just doesn't work. It puts you in a reactive state because when you tell your body what to do, you're automatically out of instinct and you're already into, let me do this and see if it works. Oh, I did it wrong. Straight up, it's a horrible way to ride. You'll feel completely out of touch and you'll feel behind the bike. We want to be able to react without thinking about it. Best way to do functional, again, is to simulate mountain biking moves, but do it off the bike and practice it often. All right, so you guys following me so far? Now, while I think about it, since this is the number one way for riders to kind of get stuck, if you could go ahead and share this video with a mountain biker that you care about, maybe it's a spouse, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a riding group, share this with someone you know that rides near you so that they can maybe learn from this and get a little better as well. Now, number 4, it's technical. This is where we automatically do athletic moves without having to think about it on a bike. Okay, this is where I see the just ride your bike more advice actually kill riders' progress and put you years behind. The reason why is because any bad habits you have from 1, 2, and 3 get baked in if you just skip to number 4. Okay, so if you're watching right now going, okay, glad I've watched, that's why. Look, guys, when you master the technical aspect of riding, it just means that you have fine motor control over all the moves on the bike, all the body positions. they're tucked away, they're automatic, they're inside of you, and you just look at where you want to go and it happens and you get to feel it like an observer. Now, when you do this and there's friends around and you're riding at your best, it is the best feeling and it is worth pursuing. So if you're listening to this and maybe it's been a few years since you felt this way, I want to encourage you because these are things that you can do to build up to this. Now, the cool part about number 4 is that it's just, if you get 1, 2, and 3 right, you just kind of breathe, relax, and let it happen. And then you go out there and practice those moves on the bike. Maybe it's drops, maybe it's jumps, maybe you get in a good spot. Now, if you do this the right way and you've got 1, 2, and 3 as a solid foundation under you, number 4 comes immediately. In other words, if you tell your body to do something that maybe it hasn't quite done before on the bike, but your neurological process, your muscle activation is dialed, your functional training is spot on, then your body has thousands of references to go, okay, cool, I'll just do that. And it makes it work. The cool thing about the human mind and the human body is that it's very adaptable, and it's one of the coolest things to be able to just hop on and do it automatically, even if maybe you've been a little bit of a, less coordinated person in the past. Probably what you're discovering if you're listening to this right now is you can go, oh my gosh, I've been neglecting this for years. And man, this is kind of the reason why I'm stuck behind. And a lot of people realize this. You can see from the comments on the channel that a lot of people go, yeah, man, you're right. No one else is saying this. And if that's you right now, there's 2 kinds of riders out there. There's 99% of riders that just, want to go out there, have a good time, and however the day ends up, that's cool. And there's no problem with that. But there's also 1% of riders that are just fearless free riders, is what I want to call them. And these fearless free riders, they look at that situation of them going down a trail and they go, no. And they just won't settle for anything less than, okay, I've already invested the time into riding, and they're going to keep riding for 10 or 20 more years. And they've invested the money. They've got good equipment and they put the effort in, but ultimately their effort has been in the wrong direction. If that's you, you're part of this mountain bike movement. And I want to encourage you to go and watch my brand new free training for 2024 on the 3 shifts to shred with confidence. And it's going to talk about exactly how you can do these things that I've talked about in this video and get support on them. But not only that, how to tailor it to your body, your riding style, and how to make this the kind of riding gear that you can look back on and go, that was the turning point. That's what made it happen for me. Click the link below in the description right now. Don't wait around, hit that button, watch the entire video, and I'll walk you through step by step exactly how this new training is designed to help you and how you can do something about it. So watch that video right now today. Like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you share this with your riding buddies, and I'll see you on the next one. David Davidson out. Peace. I'll see you on the next one.